Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into a single epic story. According to our source material, this is the story, a narrative that stretches from before time began all the way to its very end.
You know that feeling, right? That little inkling that your life, your choices, they're not just happening in a vacuum. That maybe, just maybe, they matter on a scale you can't even imagine. Well, the material we're looking at today says that's not just a feeling, it's the absolute truth. It argues that our little planet is a grand stage, and the drama playing out right here, right now, has an audience that spans the entire cosmos. To really get what this drama is all about, we have to rewind. All the way back to the very foundation of reality. The source says the universe wasn't built on cold, hard physics or random chance, but on one single principle: love.
And this idea completely flips the script on what you might think of as God's law. Forget a restrictive list of don'ts. The source sees it as the universe's natural operating system. It's the law of love that keeps everything, from the smallest atom to the biggest galaxy, in perfect, beautiful harmony. Love isn't just a feeling, it is the law in action.
Okay, so if the whole universe is this perfect cosmic symphony, what is sin? Well, think of it as one loud, clanging, awful note that just doesn't belong. It's more than just breaking a rule. It's an act that shatters the harmony, that disrupts the very music of life and love.
Which, of course, leads to the big question. In a perfect universe, a perfect symphony, how in the world was that first wrong note ever played?
So who played it? Well, according to the source, it wasn't some minor character in the back row. The first rebel was Lucifer, the light bearer, a being of incredible brilliance and glory, literally second in command to Christ. And really, it's that incredibly high position that makes his fall so shocking and so tragic.
And it wasn't some sudden, fiery rebellion. The source describes it as a slow burn of pride. It started small. Lucifer began to think his own amazing gifts came from himself, not from God. He started to feel a little slighted, maybe a little jealous, especially when Christ was front and center in the plan to create humanity. And that envy slowly hardened into a deeply held belief that he was being wronged, that he deserved the kind of honor Christ was getting. So how did he get anyone else on board? With a brilliant and, honestly, a very manipulative sales pitch. He started whispering to the other angels, framing God's law of love not as a source of harmony, but as an unnecessary restriction. His argument was simple. We're brilliant beings. We're wise enough to govern ourselves. We don't need these rules. He was promising a kind of freedom that sounded really, really good.
And this brings us to the question that I'm sure you're thinking, because everybody thinks it. If God is all-powerful, why not just, zap? End it right there. Why not destroy Lucifer and his followers and prevent all the pain that came after?
The answer, according to the source, is that force wouldn't have solved the problem. It would have made the other angels serve out of fear, not love. Instead, God decided to let this rebellion play out, to let it become a live, cosmic cautionary tale. He wanted the entire universe to see for itself what the real, tragic, devastating result of sin is when it's allowed to fully mature.
So after a war in heaven, a third of the angels were cast out with Lucifer. But the conflict was far from over. It just relocated. It moved to a new theater of war, a brand new little planet called Earth.
And at the very heart of this new world was the exact same principle God gave the angels: free will. Because, as the source insists, love that's forced isn't love at all. It's just obedience. Real love, real loyalty has to be a choice. And that choice always comes with risk.
So here's how our world got dragged into the middle of this. First, God gives humanity that incredible gift of free will. Second, Satan, the enemy, shows up and tempts them to use that freedom to rebel. Third, humanity makes that choice, and just like that, boom, Earth becomes the new exhibit. A live demonstration for the rest of the universe, showing in real time what the results of sin actually look like.
So from that moment on, with humanity now in the mix, everything that happened here on Earth took on this incredible cosmic significance. The source describes this vast, unseen audience, beings from what it calls unfallen worlds that never rebelled. Imagine entire civilizations out there still living in that perfect harmony. And they have front row seats. They're watching the story of Earth unfold to learn lessons about God's character and sin's nature that they could never learn otherwise.
This basically turns all of human history into a cosmic classroom. The flood? A horrifying lesson on how destructive sin can be. Abraham's willingness to sacrifice his son? A demonstration of faith that just blew the minds of the universe. The law given at Mount Sinai? It revealed God's blueprint for how a society built on love could actually function. And then, Christ's perfect life proved that it was possible for a human to live in total harmony with God, completely dismantling one of Satan's biggest lies.
But of all the lessons, the final exam, the absolute climax of this whole cosmic drama, happened at the cross. So what exactly did that one event prove to that onlooking universe?
It was a 2-for-1 revelation that changed everything. First, it ripped the mask off of sin for good, showing that its ultimate goal was to kill the Son of God himself. But second, and even more importantly, it was the ultimate proof of God's character. His love was so deep, so unconditional, he would rather die himself than let go of his creation. After the cross, no being in the universe could ever again say God was unfair or that sin wasn't really that bad. The case was closed.
So, with God's character now completely vindicated and the true nature of sin totally exposed, the story barrels toward its ultimate conclusion.
But not without one last, desperate attempt from the enemy. The source warns that Satan's final act is all about deception, creating a master set of counterfeits. It says that demons will impersonate spirits of the dead, maybe even appear as alien beings, that Satan himself will impersonate Christ's second coming, and that he will try to substitute a new day of worship, Sunday, in place of the original Sabbath. It's all presented as the final, ultimate test of loyalty for people on earth.
But in the end, the deceptions fail. The great controversy finally comes to a close with the total and complete eradication of sin, of Satan, and of every single bad thing that ever resulted from their existence. The universe is finally cleansed, and God creates a new heaven and a new earth, restoring that perfect harmony that was lost so long ago.
And that brings this whole massive cosmic story right back down to you and me. The source material leaves us with this staggering idea that we are not background characters. We are actors in a drama that has eternal consequences. So it leaves us with one final thought to wrestle with. If every single choice you make really does ripple through eternity, what story is your life telling the universe?